Spirit. And I'd like to say hello to my colleagues over here, Andrew and then Jennifer, if you guys wanna quickly say hello before we get started.
Yes, my name is Andrew Barrera. I'm a procurement relationship manager here at PACE and working on this ProcureLA contract. And I really welcome everybody that's here and see, hopefully we can give you some good insight on that can help you get contracts.
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Whalen. I'm also one of the team members of the procurement team. But in addition to that, I'm also part of the loan team at Pace Finance Corp. So I do hybrid of access to capital as well as procurement technical support.
Hey, thank you so much, Andrew and Jennifer, and thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Christina Espiritu, and I'm part of the procurement team at PACE as well. And now we'll get started. This is the first module that we have as a series of 3. Are you contract ready? Building your foundation for contracting success. Okay. And then just a couple of housekeeping items. So make sure you're on listening mode. And then please use, later on, we're going to have about 30 minutes of Q&A. So you will use the raise hand function if you would like to unmute yourself and ask questions. But in the meantime, if you have questions before then, if you would like to use the Q&A on the chat box, so then we can have Jennifer and Andrew monitor your questions. And this webinar recordings will be available at our e-library, and this is the link to it. And then if you can complete our survey when the webinar ends, it will be very, very helpful for us. And as I'm going through this, if you want to continue introducing yourself on the chat, as I mentioned earlier, if you just are coming in, if you want to put down your name, your company, the industry that you're in, and then also the city that you're located at, so we can get to know you better. And as I mentioned, this is the first module in a series of 3. So I just wanted to make sure if you are interested in the next 2 modules after this, if you wanted to go and scan the QR code. So this one is module 1. Are you contract ready? And then in 2 weeks, we're going to have module 2, which is, are you ready for the sports and entertainment contracting opportunities, where we'll have Simona Caldwell as our special guest. And she is from LA Sports and Entertainment Commission. And then the last module will be, are you ready for the LA Sports and Entertainment Procurement Summit? So these 3 modules are designed to get you ready for the big LA Sports and Entertainment Procurement Summit that's happening on October 23rd at the LA Convention Center. So make sure you join us at that big event. So last year, this will be our 2nd year of hosting that event. And last year, we had thousands of people attend. So hopefully you'll join us in that one. All right. And then just a little bit of overview about PACE. So PACE is Pacific Asian Consortium and Employment. And we have been around since the 70s. We are a nonprofit located in downtown LA. And Jennifer, Andrew, and I are part of the business development team here at PACE, where we work with entrepreneurs like you with business counseling, technical assistance, and access to capital for many entrepreneurs and business owners just like you. And along with the Business Development Center, we also have the Workforce Development Center, which helps job seekers attain economic mobility. That's been around since the early 70s. We also have the Energy and Environmental Services Department, as well as the Early Childhood Education and then Housing. So this is just a little bit of overview of PACE. And I just wanted to introduce the program that we have under PACE, which is ProcureLA. So ProcureLA is a special program that we have with along with the City of LA Mayor's Office, Karen Bass. And we are the procurement arm of a lot of the procurement opportunities that are coming in LA, which includes all the sporting events, including LA 28, which we are all aware of. So to be part of the ProcureLA program, you must be a for-profit entity within the city of LA, and you must have an active business tax registration certificate with the city of LA. You must be operating from some sort of commercial location, a brick and mortar, and you must identify some sort of economic negative impact of COVID-19, you must be in good standing with the state, and you must be have been actively in business since March 1st, 2020. So if you do qualify for these, please make sure to register under ProcureLA.com, and then we would be happy to assist you in your procurement needs. However, if you do not qualify for any of these because you don't meet any of the requirements, please feel free to register through ProcureLA as well, because we have other programs that we can put you under. So make sure if you can take a screenshot of this and register through ProcureLA if you haven't done so. Okay, I'll just give you about a couple seconds to make sure that you have that. Right. And then just a table of contents to see what we'll be talking about today. So first one, we'll talk about the key steps in procurement. Then we will have defining what contract readiness is, building what contract readiness would be, and then defining your role for contracting opportunities. So as I mentioned, as we go through these slides, if you do have any questions, feel free to put your questions on the Q&A function. And then please continue to introduce yourself on the chat as well. All right, so we'll get started. So first, what are the key steps in procurement, right? So procurement has become such a buzzword, especially in the last few years, where there are big procurement opportunities, especially with the sports and entertainment activities that will be in LA in the next few years. For example, there will be FIFA in 2026, NFL 2027, and then the LA Olympics in 2028. So there will be a ton of procurement opportunities that will be happening and that we're all excited about. But how do you find this procurement opportunity? So first, right, so the key steps in procurement would be searching for proposals. So first would be, where do you look for these proposals? First is looking for different opportunities, identifying which government procurement portals you'll be able to look at that are relevant to your services or products, and also identifying key contacts. Where do you build the relationships, whether with procurement officers and other decision makers? So the way that we've looked at proposals, right? So you can look at proposals both online, so through the government portal such as Ramp LA or Cal Procure, but then also offline, such as industry days that you can attend, or even the LA Sports and Entertainment Summit will be coming up in October. So you'll be able to meet some, different officials that are in the procurement agencies and also some decision makers. So once you search for proposals, now that you're preparing to bid, and I'm going through these steps, just like a quick overview of the procurement process. We do have some other workshops where we go through this in greater detail. So once you've looked for opportunities, now you're preparing to bid. So what do you do? Some of the steps that you take in order to prepare how to bid would be registering your business. So whether ensuring that your business is registered in some of the procurement portals that we've spoken about, such as Ramp LA. And then there are different portals too, also depending on the level of government. So whether it's city, county, state, or federal. And then also obtaining the necessary certification. So many of us have heard of different certifications that you can get. So whether you're women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, or even small business-owned, that you can get a certification through the Department of General Services, for example. Also creating capability statements. So many of you, just a show of hands, if you want to put your information in the chat of if any of you has done capability statements or need assistance. So that's one thing that we can help you with, is creating a capability statement. So whether it's doing it from scratch or reviewing what you have already. And in short, capability statements are just, I would call it a business resume. So if you have your own resume when you're looking for a job, a capability statement is just a resume that you use for your business, so that to show the procurement officers or agencies that you want to do business with. And lastly, reviewing procurement documents, which is the biggest thing, right? So many of us have seen those big procurement packets, about 50 to 60 pages. So making sure that you thoroughly read the request for proposals or the request for qualifications to understand the requirements that they're looking for. And so now that you've looked at the proposal, you found the proposal, you've looked at it, and you've decided, yes, I'm gonna go through this proposal, this 50-page proposal, right? And you're gonna go and bid. One of the things that you do need to do is attending pre-bid meetings, because inevitably when you have these proposals, you may have some questions that you need answers. So these pre-bid meetings are a way to really go and get your questions answered by the procurement officers who are in charge of those proposals. And some of these pre-bid meetings may be mandatory as well. So you make sure you don't miss those, because the mandatory ones is that if you don't attend the pre-bid meetings, then you're not able to actually do the request for proposals. So making sure that you engage actively and participate in these pre-bid meetings. And now that you have done that, another key step is now basically the major thing is submitting the proposal, making sure that you gather the supporting documents, preparing all the necessary documents and financial statements and references and everything else that they need as part of your RFP. And then making sure that you also follow the submission guidelines, submitting your proposal according to what is the specified method, whether it's an online portal or an email, and just making sure that you submit the proposal in the method that they want you to submit them. And also confirming receipt, making sure that if possible, confirm that your submission was well received. And now, now that you've submitted your proposal, if there are any follow-ups, and this is an important step, is making sure that you prepare for any questions. Are there any questions that are coming from the procurement officers? Be ready to answer any follow-up questions in a timely manner, or provide additional information that are required during this evaluation process. And now you've actually, now this is the step that we're all waiting for, that you actually had gotten the contract, right? You have actually won the bid, is making sure that you receive the notifications. If you're awarded the contract, reviewing all the documents and notifications. And then if there's actually terms that you need to negotiate, negotiating the terms, if applicable, any contract terms, to ensure that they're clear and they're mutually agreed upon by both parties. And also now fulfilling the obligations, executing the contract as agreed, and then also maintaining quality and adherence to timeliness as they ask you for any sort of information in order to complete the contract. And then also another important thing is making sure that you maintain communications and keep open lines of communication with the contracting officers for updates or any issues that may arise during the process. All right, so I know that I had gone through that quickly. As I said, we do have a more comprehensive procurement workshop series that goes through all the steps. However, this one is we just wanted to give you a quick overview. So, but if you do have any questions, we have about 30 minutes later on. If you have any questions, put in the Q&A. And now for the second part, which is defining contract readiness, I will defer it to Andrew.
It's a pleasure to meet everybody. We'll go ahead to the next slide. You know, one thing I wanted to say about the pre-bidders conference, if it's mandatory, you need to go unless a prime contractor attends and you're a subcontractor under that prime. Then that's one way you can backdoor your opportunity in. And a subcontractor strategy on some of these RFPs and opportunities is a great way to grow the company, and it's one of the avenues to generate accounts, long-term accounts. Now, this particular section right here, we're talking about building out your infrastructure. So as a former buyer, I used to be in the transportation space, I want to make sure that the company that's going to get awarded or that makes it to the short list, the top 5, top 3, top 2, have the financial ability and resources to perform on the contract. So keep in mind, if you land a contract, they're not going to front you the money. Okay, so generally you're not going to get paid probably net 45, net 60. And as long as you're adhering to how you submit your invoices to get paid and you don't make a mistake or miss a date, and fall in the next cycle. Those are fundamentals on making sure that if we're performing, we understand how we are to report our hours and the different schedule and make sure that we get paid. But one of the things when we talk about financial is, let's say you get the contract and it's going to require you to hire 20 staff members. So generally cost of labor is going to be one of the most expensive items that you're going to need to do. So once you get the contract, you're going to need to execute that. But before you get issued the contract, I, as a buyer, want to make sure that you have that ability to front the money. And so keep that in mind. So we want to, and part of that is also a lot of us want to fudge on our taxes a little bit and show that we're making less money because we don't want to overpay in taxes. But also keep in mind, and this happens in lending as well, that if you're hiding money and you can't demonstrate you have the ability to cover costs, at least in the beginning of the contract, that's going to hurt you. And then we have access to capital. So do you have any lines of credit? So remember, if you get an opportunity, the window to submit from the notice that there's an opportunity to when the bids or proposals are due, sometimes is a very short window. I've seen them as short as 3 weeks. Typically, it's about 6 weeks. And so we want to make sure that in that time, that if we need extra money, that we're able to demonstrate that we have the ability to get a line of credit or a loan, and also bonding. So especially in the construction field, primarily, but not only, is they may request that you be able to secure a bond. And the bond is a guarantee that you're going to be able to perform on the contract. So if you don't perform on the contract, then they're going to fire you and cash the bond and hire another contractor to complete the work. So, so that's why we want to make sure when we look at our financial infrastructure in the company, we know exactly what that is. And that also includes making sure that we have the capacity for insurance. Now, the bid pricing itself, remember, this is a competitive process. And, and many companies sometimes that they look at the opportunity as a way to make a lot of money. But if you're in a competitive process with other companies that are highly qualified, like yourself, or more qualified, then the bid budget and our pricing is going to be very important. So just know that we can help with you on all of these matters. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, operational. So you heard me talk about that. So if we get this contract, now, unless you execute the contract, we don't need to hire the new talent yet. But we need to make sure that we have them. So I don't know if it's typically like folks that look for prevailing wage. You want to go to the Department of Industrial Relations and look at what the annual wage rates are for different categories of employees. But we need to understand that. So not only do we have to have our labor force in place, but if there's any equipment that you're going to need to purchase to be able to perform, or there could be other items like securing a loan, to securing a bond, to other things, and including subcontractors. So if you hire subcontractors to compete on any of these contracts, you're going to need to have that already in place, an agreement in place. That way, if you get the contract and you execute it, you're going to be able to immediately operate. But generally, the rule of thumb is upon execution of the contract, there'll be a schedule. It's usually spelled out in the RFP itself, all the important dates. If there's an interview, which would be great if you could make the interview, and then we can actually help prep you for the interview. But there'll be a date when the contract will begin. So we need to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row prior. So if we do get the contract, we have our subcontractor that could come in and perform. We've identified labor. We've identified through our supplier network of equipment that we need to begin operations. And then you can see here on the very bottom, we're going to go into more detail on this, but we need to know ahead of time when you're registering in the different vendor portals, including for ProcureLA and RampLA, that you know all your next codes. Every service that you can provide, there's a 6-digit code. And these platforms, whether it's the city of LA, the state, the feds, anywhere, private sector, utility sector, they use these next codes. California uses UN codes, but these next codes is every service you can provide. And let's say this opportunity has 10 and you could only do 8. I would still put the other 2 next code services you can provide, because we could hire the talent, or we can subcontract, or we can joint venture. So understanding these are the fundamentals of being able to compete for contracts, because if you don't have the next code, right next code in there in the vendor portal, you're never going to get notice of the opportunity. And that happens all the time. Capability statements are very important. Capability statements are really come in handy when you're actually target marketing. So we got vendor portal registrations, but remember, at the end of the day, we want to build relationships with the different agencies and with the different decision makers or the buyers, if we want to just categorize it that way. And we want a high quality capability statement that really represents what you're bringing to the table. And one good thing, like Christina mentioned, it's like a business resume. So just remember, you can tailor the capability statement for the opportunity. And if you just throw it out there and you don't tailor it, then I'm going to tell you, you diminish your opportunity by the buyer who's going to review that. Okay, and then the vendor portals. That's one way we need to get in all the vendor portals. Now, with the events that are coming up that are subject matter of this, which is the World Cup, the Women's PGA Golf Open, the NBA All-Star Game, the Super Bowl, and the Olympics and the Paralympics, they're going to be a registry. And not everybody's going to be able to get in, but next week we could find out when we have Simona from the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission speak. And we could find out what is, and what they have is called Business Connect. And just because you're on there doesn't guarantee you an opportunity, because we got to make sure that we are able to match what they're looking for with what we do. So, but we can help you with that. Next slide, please. Okay, so administrative readiness. So just know this. So as a former buyer, I could see you could do this, but I want to make sure I'm going to vet you out. I'm going to go to your website. Okay, I'm probably going to look you up in your social media and LinkedIn, and maybe some of the key staff on Facebook, because I want to double check that you are who you say you are. But to strengthen your ability to compete, I need to know that you understand contracting and the tools, and we're going to go over that in detail. But you can see here, certifications. Do you have small business certifications that are appropriate for the city of LA, or in transportation, if that's the arena you're going to pursue, or anything? So small business certifications are very important, and it could give you extra points on your proposal submission. Do you have the right license? Yeah, we're bidding. Well, typically, if you're bidding on a contract within the city of LA, you don't have to get the license until if you get awarded the contract. But our view, and as my colleague had mentioned earlier, we want you to have a city of LA business tax registration certificate. That's the business license ahead of time. So that means I don't have to wait. I know that you're already on top of your game. registrations in the different various vendor portals. Okay, it says, and then making sure you're organizing your documents. So on past proposals you may have submitted, you're going to have a file, and where you're going to have all the relevant important documentation, which could be copies of your operation, excuse me, your articles of organization or articles of incorporation to show you're a corporation or you're an SBA, excuse me, a small business sole proprietor. We want to make sure that you have all of that. And then there's going to be compliance documents. They're going to be part of the RFP. You know, adhere to the Family Leave Act. There's going to be other types of things. And then bids, submittals, and interview prep. So hopefully we can help guide you. But remember, everything here is legal because we're using taxpayer dollars, and some of the private sector is a little bit more open. But there's opportunities all of this. So we need to make sure that we can submit a competitive bid proposal, and if you make the short list and you get selected for an interview, then absolutely we want to prepare. We need to understand what the opportunity is, what are the different topics that need to be covered in the interview, and how we organize the number of individuals that represent your company. Next slide, please. Okay, all right, so we talked a little bit about the landscape, the infrastructure, but now we're going to go into the actual tools that you're going to need to guarantee that you're contract ready. So I talked about the NEXT code. So that stands for the North American Industry Classification System. So every single thing you do, so like when you file your business taxes, they're only asking for one. But every business should probably have minimum of 5 NEXT codes, because you may be able to do several things. You could do engineering, you could do architecture, you have an electrical contractor's license. Each one of those different categories has a NEXT code. And that's across the country what is utilized to identify. So if I'm a buyer, and I know that we're getting ready to provide transportation services for the World Cup. Anybody that has transportation, fleet, or other types of services like demand response, and you have buses, and you can do limousines. Each one of those categories has a separate NEXT code. So we want to make sure, I would encourage you, even if you have 5 standard, but there's additional 3 or 4 that are industry related, I would still identify them and put them in your capability statement or in your portfolio. And if the opportunity comes and there's something we can do, we could take a pass, or we're going to hire the talent, we're going to subcontract, or we're going to joint venture. Small business certifications are extremely important, especially when you're talking about taxpayer dollars. So both LA County, the state, the city, Long Beach, Orange County, any of those government agencies that put out contracts are looking for small business certifications, because that shows the level of business acumen that you possess, and that it helps me. So as a buyer, I used to work for a city. I was a transportation. I helped them look for shuttle service. As a buyer, we had set-asides that we needed for diverse businesses. We're encouraging diverse businesses, which is small, which is local, which is women-owned business, which is minority-owned business, which is LGBTQ. And there's some other categories of businesses. We want to encourage that. We, as a buyer, I want to increase the pool of qualified businesses. And those businesses out there that have these different certifications that like I have here, including the DBE, that's a transportation certification that you get through the U.S. Department of Transportation, Metro, Caltrans, high-speed rail, all of that. That shows me that you understand procurement and you understand the benefit of small business certifications, and you're helping me. So you're helping me, helping you. So just know that that's very important. And ultimately, at some point, these small business certifications could lead to millions of dollars if you're competing against somebody that doesn't have it. Okay. Capability statements. Now, I talked about it. It's generally one page. Sometimes you could put 2 pages where you could have photos and additional information on the back page. But we want to make sure that if we have a capability statement, high resolution, because anything that comes out of your company should be at the highest quality level that matches your skill sets and being able to perform a service. And plus capability statements we could use for target marketing. Okay, so like on the Olympics or any of these events, we got the government sector, but there's going to be other countries that are going to be attending all of these events. There's going to be corporations that are going to be either sponsors or going to participate in one way, or they could be an unofficial sponsor that want to take advantage of these sports opportunities and venues and events to promote their product and their brand. So keep in mind, keep your radar open because there's that kind of opportunity as well. And we can use the capability statement if we identify that, and we can go after them. Then, of course, the vendor portal registrations. This is how you create a portfolio, you update it, you put all your next codes, and you can look up contract opportunities. So on RAMP, which is for the city of LA, they're going to promote a lot of events that we're talking about here through that are going to feed the Olympics, all those different events. So we want to make sure that have our portal, we're in the vendor portal RAMP. Our portfolio is up to date. And then we can research potentially other potential partners. We can look up competition, see what they do, and maybe we can incorporate that as well. And so it's just a great resource for contracting. Next slide, please. Okay, contract process. So I'm a buyer, and I'm looking to hire, like I had mentioned before, a shuttle service, or transportation vendors, or food vendors, or contractors are going to build up seats at different events. So the way that we put that notice out is through request for proposals or request for statement of qualifications, invitations to bid, and RFIs. An invitation to bid primarily deals with commodities. It's a little bit easier process, and it's generally you have to have a good quality product, but it's lowest bid versus best value. So request for statement of qualifications is to me, if I'm a buyer, the statement of qualifications is asking for, I'm trying to identify companies that have done this work in the past. I don't have to speculate that I think they can do the job, because a statement of qualifications demonstrates that you have worked on these exact or similar type of contracts, either on point or in the same kind of industry or in the same size. And so that's one thing. But generally, these acronyms are the mechanisms, the legal instruments, we could call it, that we utilize to promote to the world that we're looking to hire a contractor to provide a professional service or a product. Proposals and bid. We need to put a bid team together. Now, we can help you, okay? We're not going to write it for you, but the more that we understand the capability of your company, the more that we can help you be competitive, identify your niche markets, but we also want to be able to include anything of value added that you bring to the table. So maybe I'm only looking for transportation vehicles, but you include that you are able to do parking. You're able to do manage points of pickup and delivery. And, so those are value added things that we can help us kind of show that we're clearly the contractor to hire. The bid submittal process. So we've had clients that waited to the last minute and they were supposed to register on a certain platform to submit the bid. And here they are at the last 30 minutes trying to do it and they missed the deadline. So keep in mind, as a procurement officer, I need to make sure that you can follow the rules and be ahead of the game. So if the proposal is due tomorrow, I want to make sure our proposal is complete, has all the attachments, and that and we're turning it in today. Because that shows me, as the reader of the proposal, you're on top of your game. You understand time, you understand procedure, you understand the documentations that need to be adhered to, and you submit a proposal that's highly competitive, including a competitive bid budget. And remember, you got best value, which is a very reasonable budget with a high skill set. Those are generally more in the professional services area. And then they got best lowest bid, which generally is for commodities. And, so you could put a bid in, and if somebody beats you by $500, that could be the difference. So that's why we got to understand what the profit margin is. We're not going to give anything away, but we need to make sure we're going to make a profit. But we need to see, because sometimes building relationships, getting our foot in the door is going to help us. And same thing here. Okay, so I don't want anybody here, and all of you that are attending, to see this as a one and done opportunity. If you develop a relationship with an independent contractor, with a government resource, with a sports entity, we want to showcase that we're capable. We're looking for long-term contracting opportunities. That's what we want. We want to build the relationship. So let's not have the mentality of one and done, because even if it's just a project, they could have numerous projects. So maybe they're doing it at the Coliseum this week, okay, or this year, but next year they're going to do it at the Coliseum, okay, or they're going to do it at the Rose Bowl. And so we want to be able to see that we want to develop a long-term account relationship with whoever the entity is. We need to make sure that they know who we are and we have a solid point of contact. And then clearly, hopefully that, we were able to interpret the RFP. We know that we exceeded the minimum qualifications. We had the certifications that we needed. Okay. We submitted a competitive bid budget and bid that really highlights what we're bringing to the table. We adhered to all the instructions that were provided in how to submit the bid, and we make the short list. So, like for instance, on that transportation contract that I worked on, we had 22 companies that submitted a bid. We secured to the top 5. We read all of them. We were looking at their history, their performance history, their financial stability. Do they actually perform this type of service? How many contracts have they done this for? And how many of the services were right on point of the deliverables that we put in the RFP? And we narrowed it down to the top 5. We're going to rank the top 5, but then you're going to come in and you're going to do an interview. And if you get an opportunity for an interview, and I know that the LA Sports Entertainment Commission, they do have a registry, and they vet them out, and they narrow it down to a select few that actually have an opportunity to do interview. Look, you want to make the interview, and you want to be prepared and how to present yourself. So remember, contracting opportunities is not just submitting a bid from arm's distance. It's building relationships, and that's what we want to get to an interview, so they can see who you are, or your skilled staff, okay, and how you present yourself, and that you have business acumen and you have a presence about you. So there's a lot of things that we need to bring to the table to make us more competitive. And you got to have the confidence. You don't have to be a movie actor to perform well on an interview, but you do have to show that we have the experience, we have the staff, we are a part of your team. We can work well together with the agency and the project manager. Those are all very, very important tributes. That is the next level of securing a contract if you make it to a shortlist interview. Next slide, please. Okay, business infrastructure. So keep this in mind. So as we had talked about in the beginning, is you have all your ducks in a row. Yeah, so we have an insurance company that allow us to increase insurance rates if we need it. We have a bond company that can give us a performance bond, or if we have a subcontractor that, and if we may be required to have a payment bond or a bid bond. So we need to understand what that is. And if we end up getting the contract, or we shortlist in the interview, we're going to tell them, yes, we have $1 million line of credit or a $300,000 line of credit that's going to allow us to hire the staff, to buy the equipment, to buy the supplies, so we're ready to go. So just remember, business infrastructure. Do you have everything in place? Have you demonstrated that you're able to scale and perform immediately upon execution of the contract? Financial management, sometimes they're going to ask you, do you have audited financials? Or can you show us a balance sheet and your taxes for last year to prove that you have the financial capacity to be able to perform on that? So I don't have to worry that, I'm giving a contract to somebody that maybe has the financial resources. And of course, and we have one of my clients there, Jennifer. She's an expert. She's our senior loan officer in the corporation here at Pace, to help you find a loan either with us, lines of credit. She could help you with bonding, or potential financial partners, because we have a very large network of other types of lending resources that we can tap into. So we can really help in everything that we can do to help you perform on a contract. Next. Okay, I think I turn this one over to you, Christina. Hello, Christina, you're on mute.
There you go. Sorry. I was trying to unmute myself, but my mouse was being elusive. So thank you so much, Andrew, for that presentation. So now we've taken you, through the journey of the key steps of procurement, and now you've decided, what, you're gonna go for it. But then, are you contract ready? So Andrew talked to you about what contract readiness is, right? So now we're defining the rules for contracting opportunities. And these are some of the questions that we get asked, right? Andrew, Jennifer, and I. So do we want to be a contractor, or do we want to be a subcontractor, right? And what are the differences, the benefits, and also the risk and obligations of each one? So first, what is a prime or a prime contractor? So it's the lead contractor that's responsible for delivering the full contract obligations to the buyer. So whether the buyer is an agency, a corporation, or a prime, right? And what are their responsibilities? The responsibilities include direct communication with the client or the agency, meeting the contract terms, timelines, and then compliance, and also managing any subcontractors and suppliers that they may need in order to ensure that the full contract is delivered to the buyer, right? And also, as a prime contractor, the other benefits include greater visibility and control, larger contracts, and then revenue potential, right? So because you're dealing with larger contracts, and then also stronger relationships with the contracting agencies. However, along with the benefits are risks that you also have to think about, including higher liability if things do go wrong, And you always cross your fingers that nothing goes wrong, but just in case, there's always a higher liability. There's also a larger resource requirement. So, for example, since the contracts are bigger, that means the staff may be larger, the systems may be more complicated, and also the capital may also be larger. And also the other thing is you have more complex compliance and reporting things that you need to take care of as a prime or a main contractor. But what if you're a subprime? So what's really a subprime or a subcontractor? And that is a business that is hired by the prime to deliver just a specific portion of the contract as a whole. So as a subprime or subcontractor, some of your responsibilities may include executing assigned the scope of work, meeting the prime's deadlines, and making sure that the quality of standards are met, and then also compliance are made along with the prime, and then also communicating the progress and then issues to the prime as well. Right. And some other benefits of a subprime or a subcontractor, maybe you may need, since you are underneath a prime, you have lower financial and legal risk. There's also a bigger opportunity to build past performance. So, for example, if you are very new, you only have a couple of years experience or very new to government contracting, it's really an opportunity for you to build your resume, to build your capability statement, and then really developing past performance for bigger contracts later on. And as I said, it's an entry point into larger projects, right? Without that added liability or added risk because you're under a prime. And then you're also learning the contract processes without really full responsibility. So as I said, if you're starting out in the process, being a subprime or subcontractor is really an easy way to kind of ease into the game of procurement. However, there's also some risks involved as a subprime, right? Or a subcontractor. It could be dependence on the prime for any payment and project flow. There may be less visibility with the contracting agencies because you're not the one who's in charge, or you're not the one that's directly in contract with the contracting officers. And there's also limited decision making power because the decision maker is mainly the prime or the main contractor, right? So then, of course, the biggest thing that we also get is, so what do you think my role is? Should I be a prime or subprime? So these are just some of the things that you consider as you're kind of undergoing or thinking about what role you wanted to pursue. Your past performance and your experience. Do you have a proven track record with smaller projects or bigger projects? As I said, if you are in the middle or in the beginning of your government contracting journey, then it may make it easier for you to become a subprime or a subcontractor to a major contractor so you can get your feet wet in the beginning. And then also operational capacity or capability. Can your team scale to handle the full scope or just a part? If this is a few $1 million worth of project, or if it's multi-year, are you able to really figure out and do the whole contract? Or are you more suited to just do a portion of it? And it's okay, right? So what you can do is, as I said in the beginning, it's okay to start as a subprime or subcontractor and work your way up to be the main one. And also financial resources and bonding. So Andrew had talked about in greater detail about financial management, and then also the access to capital that you may need as a contractor. So do you have enough working capital, the bonding or the credit to really fund the cost as you're undergoing to this project, right? So if you don't, then maybe if your capital is smaller, then you may want to do and be a subprime later on until and in the beginning until you get the bigger projects and the ability to become a major contractor. And also the networking and relationships. Do you have established connections with agencies or primes? Right. So that's another big project, another big thing that I encounter. The questions that I get is that, well, how do I establish these connections as I'm very new to government contracting? So as you're going through your journey, and if you're in the beginning process where you're looking for, these types of relationships and these types of networking and connections, it may make sense sense for you to be a subprime or start as subprime in order to mitigate the risk and then work yourself up to be a main contractor later on. So yeah, so what I want to know is for those of you who are, who are in this webinar right now, put in the chat, are you mostly working as a contractor or a subcontractor, right? So we would like to know if you decided what your role would be at this moment in time. And as I said, these are, you can either work depending on the contract or depending on the RFP that you're considering, you could decide or you can flip-flop between the two. You may be a contractor for one project and be a subprime or subcontractor on another one, depending on the size of it. Right. Okay. So that that really concludes the webinar part of this. And so we were gonna open it up for Q&A. But before we do, I just wanted to make sure that you get their contact information. So if you wanted to check out, as I mentioned earlier, ProcureLA. So if you want to go to procurela.com, and then if you need any assistance, make sure you register through that. And then one of us, so it's either Jennifer, Andrew, and I, will be, once we get your information and then your registration, we will be able to help you out through PACE. And then I also wanted to introduce the second module. So in 2 weeks, we're going to have module 2. So, which is, are you ready for the sports and entertainment contracting? So make sure you don't miss this one because we're going to have a special guest, Simona Caldwell from the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission, who will talk to us about the landscape, really the sports and entertainment landscape in LA in the next few years, which is very, very exciting, as many of you know. So with that said, Jennifer, if you see any questions on the chat, and we
Sure.
can start with those.
Yeah, so sure. Let's do something first. And then for me, I just put in there's so many questions and I'm quite sure we can only answer part of it today. And so for anyone who want to get the help from us, so basically I just put the link on the chat to everybody. This is the way to register through the ProcureLA. Then you will connect with one of our procurement team. So so in case we cannot answer all the questions today, then I already put the chat in the link for everybody, just for your easy reference to register for ProcureLA. Then you'll get the one-on-one services from us. So overall, before I move forward down to the all the questions, there is and one thing I want to mention, I want to add that just add on what Christina and Andrew mentioned, that get yourself ready, get your company ready. So several of the drawbacks or the mistakes we always see is that I know that you guys maybe already have a corporations or LLC. So have you updated with the state with the California State Statement of Information? Have you filed it on time? Because a lot of the time, the first thing that we or any primes or anyone's to check if your company is still in good standing with California state of California, we go to check the statement of informations. Andrew and I will always say, and Christina will always say, hey, when we check it, almost like 30% of our clients, they forgot to update the statement of information. It's a very simple steps. You just need to do it. But if you don't keep it, get it updated, that will basically, will just create another round of work for you, right? So I highly recommend everyone, just those are easy steps to get yourself ready. Keep your statement of information updated. And also check if you work in, have a business license in City of LA, please to keep up with your business tax payments. You might forgot, you might leave it somewhere, but then in order for you to get the service from us, as well as to prepare for any contracts, those they cannot have outstanding balance. So all those are things are the easy steps to get yourself ready. So now we can move on to the some of the questions that are in the chat box. So I just go for from the alphabetical, the sequence when the questions comes in, and then probably I'll address some of the questions either to Andrew and Christina. Some of them maybe I can help to answer. So the first question is that from Daryl. He asked, as far as a construction, as a contractor go, do you assist or have contracts to help us with the contractors educated to obtain the California contractor's license? So I can answer that question. The question is no, we don't help you to obtain the contractor's license, because we're here to help you to get the contracts, to bid for contracts. If you don't have the contractor's license, we call it we're not qualified. Remember, Andrew and Christina mentioned that you need to have your company contract ready before you even know the proof to have the license to do whatever trade, a plumber or electricians or GC. You don't have the contract license with the state yet. We don't consider those are contract ready customers. So please get those done first. But if you need help to say, hey, where there's other agency to help you to get the contract license, we do work with a lot of nonprofits. We might provide some of the helpful information to you, but the answer is that no, we don't help you to get the contract license, but we can point you to the right direction. So that I can answer that question fast. So the second question is that from Daryl, that does anyone need certain license to obtain contracts in the area of sports and entertainment or audio and video production? So maybe Christina, can you answer this question? Does anyone need certain license to obtain contracts in the area of sports entertainment or video productions?
Yeah, so specifically not, I mean for sports and entertainment, it's really based on the industry, right? So for example, there are certain industries that are more inclined to have licenses and certifications. For example, like OSHA, if you're into like any healthcare or any construction, those are the ones that it's mostly based on the industry. And then I think specifically you had mentioned for video and audio production. No, so far as I know, there are no specific compliance related licenses or certifications that are for audio and audio and video.
Yeah, I think just go back to what we just mentioned. You still have your, but this is when you mention license, there's so many licenses you can think of. To write your professional license, the trade that you are in. Other things will be the city business license, and then or even the state. Are you in good standing of the state of California to do business in California? All those things is a different type of license. So so to get the regular license in place, but for any specific industries, check with your trade and your professional to see what type of license you need for that. So there's two type of license. So the next question is that.
Oh,
Well, I'd like to add something.
Sure, Andrew.
Okay,
Yeah.
so look, like, you know, let's say it really is going to depend on the industry. So let's say if you're a security company and they're hiring you to do security, well, you got to make sure you have your security guard license, that you have a gun permit. So it's going to depend on the industry and if they're requiring you to have it. So construction, clearly. So it's really going to depend on the industry.
Yep. So the next questions will be is that my business is in Long Beach, am I disqualified? And so this one maybe Christina, can you help to answer?
Are you asking whether you're qualified for ProcureLA or not, right? I think that may be the question.
Yeah.
So under ProcureLA, one of the requirements is you have to be operating within the city of LA. And so there are specific cities within, so Long Beach unfortunately is not part of the city of LA. However, we do have different programs that we can put you under, where if you do need procurement assistance, what we would recommend is just register through ProcureLA. And what happens is if whether you're qualified or not, it goes through the process, and then we will assist you. It's just gonna be through another program, not under ProcureLA. But either way, as we said, we're here to help you.
So I just want to add to that is that all these events are going to be LA County wide and maybe even beyond to some degree. So if you're a contractor and you're looking to be a vendor or a supplier for one of these events, we're still going to encourage you to come in, and we're going to do our best to see how we can guide you to compete.
So the next questions, maybe Andrew, you can help answer. So Daniel is asking, where are capability statements typically displayed? Are there contracts that explicitly ask to see them?
So just keep in any of the conferences that you see as a business conference, like, so for instance, on October 1, the Port of Long Beach is going to be doing one targeting engineering subcontractors. So any opportunity that you have to go to an event like that, you're going to tailor your capability statement for that event and for that opportunity. We could also use that if we start targeting. So for instance, the city of Pasadena, they have a lot of opportunities that come up and that for the parades or the Rose Bowl or those type of things, same thing here in the city of LA, that we can actually identify a point of contact in a department. We're going to create the capability statement and we're going to tailor it for that opportunity. And then we're going to see if we can make introductions. So we enjoy a very large network here at PACE and us individually. And if we can help with that, we will do that. But a capability statement is extremely important because it's going to, right to the point, explain who you are, what you do, what industries you serve, and why they should select you. You're going to have all your next codes in there, all your business license is in there, all your points of contacts, past performance, differentiators. Those are all very important things to help you stand out. So it's more of a target marketing tool.
Yeah, and then in addition to that one, there are two different ways, right? So you can use your capability statement to connect to buyers, but then if you're also a subprime and you want to connect to a prime, that's also a good way to showcase your capabilities. So it's, as I mentioned, as Andrew and I had mentioned earlier, it's a capability statement is nothing more than just a resume of your business. So if you are applying for a quote unquote job with a prime, right? So you wanted to make sure that you have, as Andrew had mentioned, tailor your capability statement for that particular prime in order to get a particular contract.
Yeah, and one last thing, in your website, you could actually have a link to a capability statement in your website as well. Because most buyers are going to vet you out and they're going to look at your website.
Yeah. So this, I think Andrew's answer just answer one of the questions on the chat box that should our capability statement be in digital format, you know. So we basically, yes, both, you know, you should have it in print when you go out to the event, but also just like what Andrew said, right? You should probably create a page on your website so they can download it, and you should also have it in digital format that you can email to people. And by the way, whoever's trying to type in the questions on the chat box, please kindly move to Q&A so we don't miss it. So please type your questions in the Q&A box so we don't miss it. So the next questions will be, so PACE can assist with bid matching and assist with the creating proposals. Andrew, would you like to take these questions?
So this is where we look. So one of the services we provide, once I sit down, now we're not going to do all the work for you, okay? Because it's your business and you're the expert. So, but we can help guide you where you can source contract opportunities, including for all these Spartan events that are coming up. And we can sit down with you and develop a business development strategy, identify the target markets you can pursue, whether it's through the portal vendor registration with utilities and government sector portals, private sector. So we can help guide you. So, and then we can also, one of the special features that we have here at ProcureLA program is that we're going to be trying to develop a pre-qualified list of established vendors and suppliers. And as we see opportunities come in our way, and we know, because we're working with you, we can actually send you with the RFP and we can go over it together. And if you want to pull the trigger, then we'll go and we'll take the next steps in helping you prepare to put a proposal and a bid budget together.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Mhm. Go ahead.
And then just to add to what Andrew had said, so lately, even just the past few months, what we've been approached by different primes or different agencies to compile a list for them of vetted vendors. So for example, if they have I'm gonna say a construction project in this particular city, and then they're looking for subprimes in that particular region or particular geographic location, then they'll reach out to us and say, hey, do you have any companies in your list that and then that are in that particular region, right? So then that's what we've been doing is some sort of like some mini matchmaking. So that's why we want to make sure that we capture you in our database. And in order to do that, so make sure that you register on ProcureLA so then that we know who you are. So.
Yes, so it's very important. And if you can go back to look at the link that I posted, or I can post it later. So the next question is easy. I can answer that. Where do we access the webinar's recording? I'll just go to Pace's website, and you will find the links there, but I can put a link at the chat later on. So the next questions then, is this only for a profit agency, for nonprofits only? So I think I can answer that question. I think under All Paces program, we can only serve for profit clients. Right now, we are unable to serve a nonprofit clients, but we love to collaborate with any other resource partners out there to see how we can serve the community. So next question, will DBA sole proprietorship qualify, and how can we show that we are in good standing? Christina, do you mind to take that question?
Yeah, so you will qualify, and then in order to show that you are good in good standing. So first of the, I guess that one thing is we haven't really talked about some of the onboarding documents that we would need in order for you to be part of ProcureLA. So aside from registering on the portal, a couple of things that we do need is that you fill out an SBA 641 counseling form. That we just, that's a thing. It's a very simple form to fill out. We need some proof of business, so that could be if you're an LLC documents, if you have a corporation, anything of corporation documents, and if you are sole proprietor, so anything that shows that you do have that entity or that structure, and then the last one is a driver's license. So yes, but short answer is yes, yeah. So long as you can prove some sort of documentation that you are a sole proprietor.
So I can add to that a little bit also. So I mentioned earlier that please, if you have a company, that make sure that you update your statement of information with the state. And for DBA, so proprietorship, I'm quite sure that you have a fictitious name, but fictitious name need to renew as well. So please don't have a expired fictitious name registration. So those are things you can check. And also business license, if you conduct, especially for City of LA, if you want to do any business with City of LA, so you need to have a business license, and also pay your BTRC tax up to date. You may forget that maybe you have a very small balance, but City of LA checks. This is one of the requirements for us to be able to serve you, that you don't owe money to the city. So those are things that as a sole proprietorship or as any business, you can do some homework in advance to get ready. Talk about contract readiness, right? Andrew and Christina mentioned about that. So the next question is from Kathleen, and my business is in LA County. Will I be eligible for the LA City contract through this program? Andrew, do you want to take it?
Yeah, well, so if you're going to apply for any contract within the city, and if it's a city contract, you're going to need to get the business tax registration certificate. So don't tell yourself no. Now, you may not be eligible for the ProcureLA program in itself, but any contract opportunity is open to any qualified business. And so as part of your business strategy on pursuing contract sourcing and pulling the trigger on applying for those contracts, you can come in and see us and we can help guide you.
So
Yes. Mhm.
yeah, I was going to ask Christina, do you have anything to add on top of that? Yeah.
Because it's very specific, right? So the ProcureLA, you have to be within the city of LA. And so there's a list. However, if you are outside of the city, which is if you're in LA County, it's fine. As I said, you can still register through ProcureLA and we can assist you. It's just through a different program that we have. But yes, please register. We don't turn down anyone, so we'll still help you, just a different program.
Yeah, and especially for next week, next modules that when the Simona from SEC, when she comes, she will show everyone. So what's the qualifications in order to do business with them, right? So some of them will be, if you're in LA County, you're eligible. So this is like a pitch for the next, come back to the next modules. They will go into a lot more details for if you want to become one of the vendors for the LA Sport and Entertainment Business Connect, what you need to do and what's qualified. So please come back for the next modules and we'll go into a lot more in depth. So we answered the next questions already from is the sole proprietorship and can my business qualify? Yes, you do, and we just keep all the fictitious name, everything's updated. Next question. So this one, I would just put it to the put it offline. So please email me, and my contact info is on the screen. This one is our car service business located in Glendale. For large scale, can we seek assistance for working capitals and bonding? So please email me. We can take it offline to discuss in further details, because this related financing, I think will be better we take it off the line. So next question from Martin. Which procurement portals are the most common used to find opportunities? Would it be LA28 supplier registration portal, or BAAM for 5426, and if any other major platforms? Andrew, do you want to take this one?
Well, you're going to want to register. Look, so there's federal government, that's the SAM system. There's Cal eProcure with the state of California. There's RAMP for the city of Los Angeles. There's doing business with the county or doing business with county public works. You can register with the city of Long Beach. You can register with Ventura County, with Orange County. So all of these different government entities have vendor portals. Utility companies, same thing. Then you got Edison, you got water districts, you got Verizon and telecommunications, and then you got private sector. You want to do business with Walmart, you want to do business, with whomever. And we work pretty closely with a lot of prime construction contractors as well. And some of them you could only become a pre-qualified vendor through invite only. And so we can help you with all of that, but there is tremendous opportunity, billions and billions of dollars in the state of California, because we're the 5th or 4th largest economy in the world. There's a lot of opportunity here. So please open your mind and establish best business practices on how to source contracts.
So I think,
Yeah, and then,
Christina, if
okay.
you can put back to the slide of page 8.
Page 8. Okay.
So I think that will help a little bit to answer to add on what Andrew just saying. So depending on what type of opportunities you want to look for, that will be search for proposals, so research for opportunities. So there's so many things you can go out there to look for, and depending on which industry or which the intersegments and you want to go to, then you can just search for that.
Yeah, and then to answer your
And
question,
Pace is here to help you to identify those and move forward.
yeah, and to answer your question, as Andrew had mentioned, there's so many different portals, so it can be overwhelming, right? There's so in different levels of government. However, if you're thinking specifically about sports entertainment, specifically the Olympics, we did get word that those opportunities will be through Ramp LA. So if you're specifically looking for Olympic related procurement opportunities, then we would recommend going through Ramp LA. However, as Mandra had mentioned, there are other, I would call it run-of-the-mill, ordinary, maybe boring procurement opportunities, and then you can get them through different portals, right? Cal eProcure, and then Ramp LA will also have these different opportunities, different levels of government. However, we did get word that Ramp LA will be what they're going to be using for the Olympics. So,
And there's other portals like Planet Bid, so we just need to understand what you bring to the table. And then that's part of contract sourcing. So we can put a strategy, and remember, every 3 months, every quarter, you want to expand your portal registration, and they need to stay on top of it to be able to vet out the different RFPs and invitations to bid. But there's tremendous opportunity out there, and we need to make sure we take good progressive steps, and that we're not overreaching, that we're able to stay within our capacity, but then we're taking positive steps moving forward to try to source contracts and go for it.
yeah, however, one thing we would recommend is that if you reach out directly through one of us, through one-on-one, then we can determine with you what would be the best way for you, right? What the best portal would be for you to use.
Just like Andrew said in the beginning, you help us to help you understand which is the low-hanging fruit and which segments you're going to go to, and you go to register with those portal first, and then you go for the next step. As any savvy business owners here, you always have your low-hanging fruit, your next step of the marketing, and your your long-term marketing goals, right? So I think we once you connect with us, we'll do a more like one-on-ones to give you the holistic based on our experience, to give you more like a roadmap to see which procurement portals to do it first and what certificates to get it first, and then to help you to grow. And so I think that we address the questions from Martins, that what procurement portals are the most common one, as well as are you all connect to Fiverr procurement opportunities and RAM, as Christina mentioned, all those related to the LA28, most likely they will be on RAMP LA, and all those we highly recommend you register with it. And then if you need any assistance, we're here to help. And the next question from Hima. Andrew quickly mentioned some upcoming sports event, and then but too fast to note. Besides the big three, what the others? So maybe I can answer that, and just please sign up with all the Pace. Sign up with Pace's email newsletter. We will email you for any events coming up, not just related to the sports and entertainment. So we will let you know all the events out there, because we're a nonprofit here to help you free of charge to help you to assist you to growth. So next question.
Well, I want to add to that. Okay.
Yeah.
The Southern California has numerous. We got the Dodgers, we got the Galaxy, you got the college football and volleyball and golf, and there's tremendous amount of sports and entertainment opportunities that are out there. Like we just met with LA Rams very recently. A while back, we met with Los Angeles Lakers. We have relationships like with Los Angeles Clippers. So we enjoy these kind of networking relationships, and we're always trying to find contracting opportunities for our clients. But just know that there's a lot of youth sports that are out there. There's I think AEG that does big events on concerts, okay, and at the Rose Bowl and the different facilities, just like it's not called Staples anymore, but downtown there's a lot of different events there as well. So just know, if you have a niche market in sports, or providing a certain type of product or service, a professional service, we want to identify that, and then the goal is for us to try to help you scale and find new opportunities, either geographically or by skill set.
Yeah, and then just to add to that one, so for example, FIFA had just I think it was probably a couple months ago, they had released a statement of interest form, and they talked about 12 different industries that they're looking for procurement opportunities, right? And so those 12, while you may think, okay, maybe they'll do something in concessions or construction, right? So you may think of the ones that come into mind when you think of procurement, but there are other ones that you may not necessarily think that they would need, but they do. So for example, one of them was on VIP management, and another one was on hair and makeup or something like that. So as you can tell, like there are different opportunities that are beyond like what you would really think of. So what I guess the gist of it is that just make sure that you register with us, because we can help you depending on the type of business that you are, find opportunities for you.
Yes, I just post that link again on the chat room. So for your easy reference, you can just click it. Very simple questions to answer. Now, I'm quite sure that there's so many more questions, and then we cannot answer during this webinar or the second or third module, but connect with us, and we have the free technical support here, and that's your tax dollar in action. So the next questions from Ruth, like, how can I create a relationship with procurement for transportations for HIVIS safety wets with the cooling components as a sub for the LA28? This is such a unique questions or particular questions. So I think we probably will just take it offline and register, and then click the register in the link, and then we'll have one of us or our other procurement managers reach out to you and to discuss further. And we don't board we want to answer more general questions here.
So let me
and
hold on, let me add to that, because I used to be a transportation deputy for the state of California. So if it's transportation related, make sure you can outreach to me, and we'll see if we can help you with that particular question.
Yeah, and then one thing I would also recommend is we did a four-part series with doing business with Caltrans. So depending on what county you are, we did one with LA County, Ventura County, and then also Orange County. So if you do go to the e-library and then look for one of those webinars, they did go through really, really great information that you might find helpful. And then there's also contact information on who's in charge of the ones for Caltrans, depending on the county.
And
Yeah,
there's an upcoming Caltrans workshop on minor B contracts. Those are contracts from 5,000 to 471,000. That's coming up pretty soon. So if you register with us, you'll start getting the newsletter that will start putting out those opportunities for you.
Yes, and even Ruth's question is very specific, tailored to she want to reach out to one specific companies for transportations. However, you know, you never know. Then some of them may be some of the company you want to reach out to may participate the event that Andrew was mentioning, and then you might just connect with them directly over there. Even though you try to look for one specific company, but you may it might all the webinars that you attended might open up other doors for you as well. The next question is from Philip. Is there a cost to get the BTRC number? Christina, can you answer that?
Um, as far as I know, there's no cost to get the BTRC number. So
For sure, you'll get the bill once you have it. And I don't know, I forgot the detailed rules. I'm not too sure if it's just like the state for the corporations, you have a minimum like 1 year if you don't do business. Is that a minimum fee for annual fee for the BTRC? I'm not too sure, but for sure we can get back to you. But to apply for
yeah,
it, my understanding is no. But at the end
yeah.
of the year, it might have a minimum payment due if you don't conduct any business.
Exactly. So there's no fee at all to like if you're just applying for a number, it's kind of the same as applying for an EIN number, right? For with the IRS. So there's no fee. However, you know, there may be some fees later on, but not related to the application, just to get the number. So
Pay
and
your
and
taxes.
yeah, and honestly, that's kind of the biggest thing that the biggest hurdle that we see is that a lot of people register and procure LA, but then their may tax info is not clear. So that's kind of the biggest hurdle that we see. So just make sure that when you register through ProcureLA, also check your taxes and see if you have any, sometimes you don't know, as Jennifer had mentioned, it could be something minimal that you didn't even know about or you forgotten. But just to make sure that it doesn't delay your process of application, check that as well.
If I'm going to give you a contract, I want to make sure that you have all your ducks in order, all your taxes are paid, and so that's just a sign of your how much you're on top of your or managing your business and your business acumen, and so that's all very important. Pay your taxes, especially if they're minimal.
So one of the questions is how do you know if your business in the city of LA? Oh, we have a link. We can send it to you to check if this is like if your business located in city of LA. But this one is easy. So you can just type it in. I'll put it in the chat box. The CC, this is the link to check if your business is in the city of LA. But again, if you're not in the city of LA, again, we can still assist you. It's just depending on how we can assist you. Again, just like what on top of what Christina said, just go register with ProcureLA and then connect with PACE, and we can always find the best ways that we can serve you. Do we still have more time
Yeah.
for more questions?
Yeah. Yes, and just to kind of just to expand on that one of the easiest ways that I found was that if you know who your mayor is your mayor Mayor Karen Bass? If it is, then you're within the city of LA. If you have another mayor, for example, like Long Beach has another mayor's, and then you're not within the city, right? So that when I ask a question, they go, "Oh yeah, my mayor's Karen Bass." Then yeah, you're within the city.
Yeah, so one more questions from Danielle said, can PACE assist with financial aids opportunities such as business grant? And Christina, take it away from here.
Yeah, so what we can, so I do a monthly grant workshop that talks about the best practices on how to do grants, and also I do out a monthly grant list if there are new grants available. So we do assist with helping you look at the different grants that are out there. And then also there are also different access to funding, right? As Jennifer had mentioned, she can help you with the other access to capital, like working like loans and stuff like that. But on the grant side, yes, we can. If you if you look at the calendar, look at the next grant workshop, and then I'll be able to. And if you join it, then I'll be able to send you a grant list. So actually, the grant workshop was supposed to be today at the same time. So, so then it won't be, so it's canceled this month, and then the next one will be next month. So plus just go to our calendar.
So I do see, if we have more time, I do see another questions coming from Merland, said the city of our payment schedule is usually slower than federal and state. Therefore, what is the net payment? This one we have to take it offline. We'll get back to you because honestly, they change the rules and everything so frequently. We don't know the answers on top of our head, but for sure we can get back to you on that if you connect with us separately. So those are the questions on the Q&A, and then so one more question is actually, how can a business outside City of LA register in ProcureLA? I can answer that, and then just use the link that I sent. Even though you might be a business outside of City of LA, just use the link that I sent for ProcureLA, and then because you would need to put in your business address, once it's routed to us, we will figure that out if you in City of LA or outside of City of LA, which doesn't mean that you don't have opportunities for procurements, but it's only say how we can assign who we can assist you. So use the same link to register, and then we will help you to find all other opportunities even outside of City of LA.
We just want to let you know that the ProcureLA program, even though it's city-centric, we get at direction of the mayor's office, we're really going to try to help businesses within the city of LA. But just know we have other bigger contracts, statewide contracts, and we're here to help all businesses. So the ProcureLA program is a way to get your foot in the door, and it's still providing services region-wide.
Yeah. And if are there any more questions, Jennifer?
So there's some questions in the Q&A boxes. Sorry, in the chat box, but I think we kind of answered a little bit over that. For example, Hima is asking Andrew, you touched on NBA and Star Games and other things. She said, or he said he missed the official names. So don't worry. And there's so many procurement opportunities out there. There's so many events out there. Again, we say just register with the ProcureLA, and then you will because we provide one-on-one counseling, so we can talk about that and discuss about that in further details. So I think those are the overall questions I do see here, and then head back to you.
Yeah, and then so at this point, I just wanted to wrap up, but before I do, I just wanted to make sure that you get the last chance to look and register for the different modules, as we had mentioned. So module 2 will be in 2 weeks. Are you ready for the sports and entertainment contracting opportunity? So make sure you don't miss that one because, as we had mentioned, Simona Gladwell from the LA Sports and Entertainment Commission will be the special guest, and then after that we have module 3, which is Are You Ready for the Big Summit, which is on October 23rd. So that one, it gives you a little bit of logistics and then who the guests are, and really to make use of your time during that summit, because that summit is huge and there's gonna be a lot of people. So we want to make sure that you have the best use of your time and then also the best use of your resources. So with that said, I wanted to close off. So thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of Module 1, and hopefully we see you both on Module 2 and 3, and then also in person on October 23rd. And then as we had mentioned, please register on procurela.com, and we had put out our contact information. But even if you didn't get it, once you register, you'll be able to talk to one of us, depending on depending on who you get assigned to. So, but thank you so much for being a part of this, and we'll see you next time. But there will be a survey once I close it. So if you have some time to please make sure you spend a couple minutes filling it out. All right. So with that said, have a good rest of your day, and then register, and then we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone.